Joining us on the show right now is Jateen Trivedi, VP Research Commodities and Currency, LKP Securities. Mr. Trivedi, thank you so much for taking time out and joining us this afternoon. First things first, I wanted to try and get a sense of what you think about the current setup for oil prices, and also the latest commentary also coming in from US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in terms of that 30-day temporary stopgap measure. And they've really gone out and highlighted that this is a stopgap measure that you're looking at. I wanted to get your read on that before we begin.
More importantly, the prices always gives you the outlook that how the market is going to be shaped up. And recently that what we have seen, the reflection is that the overall oil sentiment of the market is going to be on the supply side issues. Also, a window for Indian markets, opening up from the Russian oil always is a healthy because we have a very good relation with the business partner as Russia. And these developments will definitely, be a little bit onto the positive side going ahead. Also, the trade deal with US seems to be a little bit onto the renegotiation side. So these things will be, coming out onto the table once this Western Asian part of the conflicts, gets into some kind of a resolution part sooner or later, whenever that happens. But from the oil perspective, this scenario on the global trade front is still negative as long as this issue remains. From Indian perspective, it is a little bit of a breather that we are getting the oil from Russian side, which we were already having earlier a month back, I think so. So this development definitely helps the Indian markets and Indian economy, that the oil market does not disrupt our economical working strategies on day-to-day life. Even though we have reserves for like 3 to 4 weeks already, but still there needs to be some sort of resort. So that is the solution.
Absolutely, and the headlines when it comes to this particular conflict are evolving really by the hour when you look at them. But what I also wanted to get a sense of, for the next 1 month, what are the price targets that you're looking at when you talk about Brent crude? What is the kind of trajectory that you have in mind now? Of course, that is withstanding that there's no de-escalation that we have. Things stand as they are. What are you looking at?
See, if the things are standing as they are, Shreyanshi, the developments are still positive. For the price action, especially the negative aspect of this news flow on the geopolitical front is going to act as a positive trigger, even if the escalation does not happen and still remains the same, because the Strait of Hormuz, it is still stuck with the supply chain. The supplies are not coming out of that route, even though they try to reroute it from the Red Sea or whatever means they have. Still, it takes a little bit of a time to decoup all those things. Make the strategies about how the shipments will go through there. Paperworks are there. They need to access that how many times and how many days it will take them to travel to other parts of the nation of the world. So these things are not going to be sorted overnight. So definitely the price will be remaining elevated. As far as the Brent prices are concerned, as long as it is holding $79 on closing basis, the outlook still remains positive. Of course, the volatility and the violent volatility is going to be there. It's not just going to be volatile, it's going to be violently volatile. Please make a note of that. The prices are volatile. On the higher side, 88 to 89 is the immediate what we are looking at for the next week or so. But on the higher side, it may touch the $95 mark as well.
No, absolutely. So that's about Brent. But, when you talk about gold, you've had quite an interesting setup that you have, be it gold or even silver. You do have that midweek bounce that has come in right now. Of course, markets seem to be looking very closely at that dollar headline in terms of, the dollar strength that you're seeing. So I feel like that's something that the market is clearly tracking right now. How are you looking at that midweek bounce? Do you see that the safe haven demand is really going to be helping gold sail to those all-time high levels?
See, there is a couple of things which is also a little bit of a negative aspect for the gold and silver prices. As long as the crude prices stays higher, the dollar index will also scale higher. That is one aspect which is going to work out a little bit negative for dollar gold prices. But also, as long as crude prices are higher, there is a endangerment of inflation also keeping inching towards the higher side. If this stage prolongs for more than few months going down the line. Already we are having some hiccups about the interest rate cuts from the federal side delaying, and if the inflation also starts rising, then definitely the interest rate cycle might still delay for the further cuts which we were expecting around the June-July corner. So that is something which is gold is trying to price in. If there are delays, then gold definitely needs to come down a little bit more. But if the crude prices softens, then again interest rate support will be there. Of course, war premium is there in the market. I think as long as we are holding the $49-80 mark on closing basis into the CME side, the prices outlook remains positive. But there is limited upside as of now, Shreyanshi, towards 5250, 5300. So scaling towards 5450, 5500 on the dollar price still looks a little bit more, more kind of a irrelevant right now, because the scenario needs to, escalate further more for gold buyers to come in, have that confidence about buying gold rather than other asset classes.
Absolutely, that's something that you're looking at. A bunch of volatility that you're seeing emerge in the market. As I said at the beginning itself, you do have headlines that are emerging by the hour, so that's definitely something that we're looking at right now. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining us this afternoon. So that's a very comprehensive view coming in as far as gold is concerned, silver, and even oil is concerned with the week gone by and all of the headlines that we were tracking. But let's also shift focus